Anna Kui, coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. It is Sunday, the 20th day of June, 2021. Tonight we have updates from our correspondents across North America. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
The Canada-U.S. border remains closed for at least another month.
Lori Gervina in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Barrett-Jackson auctions off celebrity cars at Las Vegas Convention Center.
Philip Toledo in Atlanta reports about Vice President Kamala Harris promoting COVID vaccination in Georgia. Rose Papaangelis in Washington, D.C. tells us about the district offering new incentives for people who get vaccinated. ABC's Joanne Soriano reports about New York lifting its COVID restrictions as 70% of adults have been vaccinated. And for weather, Jim Sewell updates us about Tropical Storm Claudette hitting the Gulf Coast. For ABC Travel, Eagle News correspondent Nanita Manawas gives us a glimpse of Paris in Texas. Make sure you stay tuned for that. And for our roundtable, today is the official start of the summer season. We will talk about how we are starting it smart. Our coverage begins now. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is sworn in for a second term as head of the world body, promising to draw on the lessons of the deadly COVID-19 pandemic. The former Portuguese Prime Minister says as the General Assembly reappointed him for the 2022 to 2026 term, our greatest challenge, and which is at the same time our greatest opportunity, is to use this crisis to turn the tide, pivot towards a world that learns lessons. In office since 2017, Guterres promises to act independently of member states and organizations during the swearing-in ceremony attended by Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the first head of state to set foot in the United Nations building for more than a year because of the pandemic.
I'm acutely aware of the immense responsibilities you are entrusting me at such a critical moment in history, dare I say, at the cusp of a new era. We are truly at the crossroads with the consequential choices before us. Paradigms are shifting, old orthodoxies are being flipped, and we are writing our own history with the choices we make right now. It can go either way, breakdown and perpetual crisis, or breakthrough and prospect of a greener, safer, and better future for all. I have talked about a United Nations 2.0, and it is clear to me that we need to accelerate transformation through a quintet of change in the years ahead. Better data, analysis and communications, innovation and digital transformation, strategic foresight, stronger performance and results orientation, and a work culture that reduces unnecessary bureaucracy, simplifies and fosters a work of collaboration. We can only meet today's complex challenges successfully with a humble approach, one in which the Secretary-General alone neither has all the answers nor seeks to impose his views, one in which the Secretary-General supports member states and relevant stakeholders to lead the necessary challenges and makes his good offices available, engaging tirelessly, making full use of the unique convening role of the UN, and working as a mediator, a bridge and trust builder, and an honest broker to help find solutions that benefit everyone involved.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken congratulates Guterres, saying his country looked forward to continuing the strong and constructive relationship with the Secretary General. Blinken adds global issues require a collaborative, effective, and results-oriented leader in the United Nations Secretariat, and we have that in Antonio Guterres. The 193-member General Assembly has approved a resolution extending Guterres' 5-year term rather than taking a vote. The UN Secretary Council, at a crucial stage in the nomination process, gives its blessing on June 8 to the reappointment of the 72-year-old who had previously served as UN High Commissioner for Refugees between 2005 and 2015. Meanwhile, a new report from the UN Refugee Agency says despite the coronavirus pandemic, the number of people fleeing war and persecution continued rising last year, with global displacement climbing to over 82 million. double the figure a decade ago. Global displacement figures swelled by around 3 million in 2020 after an already record-breaking year in 2019, leaving a full 1% of humanity uprooted and displaced. High Commissioner Filippo Grandi says internal displacement is a worrying trend, even more difficult than addressing refugee issues because they find themselves in the conflict.
In spite of the pandemic, which has obliged all of us to stay at home, to lock down, to be confined, the global trends of forced displacement in 2020 have been higher than in 2019. 3 million people more. We were at 79.5 million in 2019. We're now at 82.5 million for 2020, which means, one, borders have been severely shut down. And crossing borders, especially for refugees, not internally displaced people, but refugees, is a life-saving act. But unfortunately, movement of people has become life-threatening in the COVID context. So we had to manage this complicated contrast and dilemma. The other, because addressing issues of internal displacement sometimes is even more difficult than addressing refugee issues because they find themselves in the conflict. Think of Yemen, think of Tigray today, think of Afghanistan, you know, and so this is also a worrying trend that we had observed in past years that has increased. The number of internally displaced people in this report is almost 50 million. So it's a very, and to think that the only response that we can give to that phenomenon is building walls, pushing people back at sea, or telling them that if they want to seek asylum in Europe, they have to do it from a third country. They cannot enter Europe. This is not only profoundly wrong, terribly wrong from the moral and legal point of view, but it is also completely ineffective. That's not the way that. The problem is that if while these troops are present, we don't make the right investments in all aspects of the crisis, when the troops are inevitably pulled back, those symptoms will remain, those causes will remain, and the crisis can start again, which means that after a few years, more troops have to be sent back. This is our concern in Afghanistan, for sure. I think in the Sahel, the situation is still more complex and fluid. But
back here in the U.S., with marches, music, and speeches, America celebrates Juneteenth, the newly declared federal holiday that marks the end of slavery, and which comes a year after George Floyd's murder sparked anti-racism protests. Hundreds of events are held across the country, from New York to Los Angeles, and most notably in Galveston, Texas, the symbolic heart of the Juneteenth commemoration. For on June 19, 1865, it was in that Texas coastal area that the Union Army, victorious after the bitterly fought Civil War, announced to African Americans that even if some in Texas were trying to ignore it, enslaved people were now free. Slavery was formally abolished in December 1865 with the adoption of the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, but Juneteenth has remained the emblematic date marking the freeing of enslaved Americans. This year's Juneteenth celebrations are all the more celebratory, coming just days after President Joe Biden signs legislation making June 19 a federal holiday, and at a time when pandemic-imposed restrictions on public gatherings are steadily being eased. In Washington, hundreds celebrate on Black Lives Matter Plaza, a section of a main road near the White House, renamed by the city amid the huge anti-racism protests galvanized by Floyd's death. For COVID news, President Joe Biden announces from the White House that the U.S. has reached 300 million vaccine shots administered, but warns that deaths and hospitalizations are rising in areas with low vaccination rates, where the Delta variant could have a serious impact.
We will reach the mark of 300 million shots in arms in just 150 days. Let me say that again. 300 million shots in arms in under 150 days. That's an important milestone that just didn't happen on its own or by chance. It took the ingenuity of American scientists, the full capacity of American companies, and the whole of government response. Yesterday, I signed a bill, into law, making Juneteenth a federal holiday. And this weekend, folks in communities across the country are going to be canvassing and hosting events to encourage their families, friends, and neighbors to get vaccinated. The more we close the racial gap in vaccination rates, the more lives we'll save. Deaths and hospitalizations are drastically down in places where people are getting vaccinated. But unfortunately, cases and hospitalizations are not going down in many places in the lower vaccination rate states. They're actually going up in some places. A few days ago, we crossed 600,000. 600,000 Americans dead from COVID.
And if the Delta variant could force Americans back into lockdown, the president says although some areas will suffer, a lockdown is unlikely.
The Delta variant. It's a variant that is more easily transmissible, potentially deadlier, and particularly dangerous for young people. But the good news is we have the solution. The science and the data are clear. The best way to protect yourself against these variants are to get fully vaccinated. I don't think so because so many people have already been vaccinated, but with the Delta variant can cause more people to die in areas where people have not been vaccinated. Where people have gotten the 2 shots, the Delta variant is highly unlikely to result in anything other than, the existing vaccines are very effective. So no, it's not a lockdown, but some areas will be very hurt.
Taiwan receives 2.5 million doses of the Moderna vaccine from the U.S. at the Taiwan International Airport, with health officials holding up signs saying, "Thank you." The move is likely to draw disapproval from Beijing, which claims the self-ruled island. China expressed fury earlier this month when U.S. senators visited Taiwan and announced a vaccine donation amid simmering tensions between Washington and Beijing. State Department spokesman Ned Price writes in a tweet, quote, "Wheels up, our donation of 2.5 million vaccine doses is on the way to Taiwan." The number of shots is about 3 times as many as announced during the U.S. delegation visit to Taiwan. Taipei has accused Beijing of hampering its efforts to secure enough doses. China's ruling Communist Party has never controlled Taiwan, but it views the island as part of its territory and has vowed to one day seize it by force if necessary. Beijing has heaped economic, military, and diplomatic pressure on Taiwan in recent years and keeps it locked out of international bodies such as the World Health Organization. Washington remains Taiwan's biggest ally, but it does not maintain full diplomatic relations with Taipei because it officially recognizes Beijing. Until recently, Taiwan navigated the pandemic in an exemplary fashion, recording just a handful of deaths. But cases have soared after an outbreak that began with airline pilots. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen writes on Twitter, "Thank you to the U.S. for this moving gesture of friendship. These vaccines will go a long way toward keeping Taiwan safe and healthy." Here's today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday, June 20, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 178,336,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. over 33.5 million, followed by India over 29.8 million, and Brazil over 17.8 million. This virus has now already claimed more than 3,862,000 lives worldwide. Top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are U.S., more than 601,000, Brazil, more than 500,000, and India, more than 386,000. Total vaccine doses administered worldwide is now at 2,599,808,550. Up next, updates from Alberta and Nevada. Eagle News America continues.
Factual,
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
timely information, balanced, not only in the country,
No matter who
but
you
also
voted
abroad.
for, I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Agila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Agila Probinsya.
Sa mga taga-Iloilo at Antique, mapiyang
Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International
On
delivers the
tonight's
latest
headlines.
global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to Thanks our health
outdoor attack.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Anna Cui in Las Vegas. It will take at least another month for the Canada-US border to reopen. In Alberta, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness gives us an update. Thomas?
Thanks, Hannah. Well, you know, our prime minister right now, he's pretty unpopular with, well, the travel industry and a number of politicians on both sides of the Canada-US border. Now, just as we've been telling you for months now, that border remains closed and will remain closed until at least the middle of the summer. Last Friday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the closure was being extended another 30 days. The deadline now to reopen it, July 21st. The travel industry has pretty much thrown up its collective hands in disgust. All prospects for a profitable summer tourist season have pretty much gone down the drain. It's late in the game now to attract tourists. You know, most people, they've already made their vacation plans, and those arrangements don't include sitting around waiting to see if they'll be allowed to cross the border into Canada. Opposition politicians and elected officials in both countries, they're angry as well. You know, it's been 16 months now since that border was closed, and they're saying, come on, let's get on with it, open things up. But Trudeau, he's being cautious. Now, he wants vaccination levels in Canada to be higher. He's saying 75% with the first dose and at least 20% with 2 doses before that border reopens. We're close to that now, but Trudeau says, well, no, close doesn't count. And what he's worried about is travelers returning home and bringing an extra passenger with them, namely COVID-19, and specifically the Delta variant. But what about special provisions for fully vaccinated people? Well, Trudeau says even vaccinated travelers can be carriers of the bug and, you know, unknowingly bring it back home, spread it to friends, neighbors, co-workers, whoever they come into contact with. So it's important that people who don't travel, those who stay at home, it's important that they are protected from any potential infection by returning vacationers. So up here, we err on the side of caution. And given how the Delta variant is spreading both here and in other parts of the world, maybe that's a good thing. Now, at his news conference on Friday, Trudeau also talked about vaccine passports. And he says Canada's working on vaccine certification for international travelers. It's expected to be ready in the fall. There's no national registry of immunization, and that's because vaccines fall under healthcare, and healthcare is a provincial responsibility. So before we can set up any kind of a national vaccine passport, all of that data has to be collected from the provinces. But Trudeau says it's inevitable that proof of immunization is going to be required down the road for people going abroad. And Trudeau says developing that passport is going to be no easy task. He says it's going to require a lot of international cooperation, a lot of negotiations, if that passport is to be usable. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Mentioned that the vaccine passports. And on that issue, I heard some problems arose for some Canadians wanting to attend large events in the U.S. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, are you a Bruce Springsteen fan?
Sure.
Okay, well, the first case came to light last week in New York City. Springsteen on Broadway concert is a big event, and to get tickets, fans had to prove they were fully vaccinated for 14 days before they can attend. Organizers were using the New York State guidelines. Those guidelines said fully immunized meant you received an FDA-approved vaccine, namely Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. You've approved 3 vaccines down there. Now, up here in Canada, we've approved a 4th, and thousands of people have been immunized with it. It's the AstraZeneca formula. AstraZeneca, again, not FDA approved. Therefore, these folks were not recognized as being fully vaccinated. This just caused a huge uproar when word of that leaked. We carried a story on our website as well with Eagle. Lots of people up here in Canada venting about it on talk radio. Well, the venue quickly amended its guidelines. Now, what they're reading now is any vaccine approved by the World Health Organization as well as the FDA is acceptable. So, For now, the problem's been solved. Anna?
Wow, that would really be a problem, right? Because there's no national registration for vaccine, not yet. So things like that will arise if different areas have make up their own rules. But you say the problem has been solved for now. What does that mean, Thomas?
Well, we've got one venue that changed its guidelines, but there's other venues in the state still following the original. People who want to, for example, go to the Saturday Night Live taping, they only accept people who've been immunized with an FDA vaccine. It's still kind of the Wild West out there. Many states down there don't have any guidelines. And there's nothing to stop me if I owned a private theater somewhere to decide what rules I would like to impose. And then there's the global situation. We talked about vaccine passports in my report. That's coming. But when we look at what we're dealing with, we've got several different countries in the world. We're looking at immunizations from several different viewpoints. People view things differently. So things might not be so easy to work out. Oh, and then we've got to throw something else in the mix, politics. And don't think for a moment they're not going to come into play. There's all kinds of factors. For example, is everybody going to accept China's vaccine? What about the Russian vaccine? Is that acceptable? And what about countries who say, I don't want the WHO dictating what's happening in my borders. We want to decide it ourselves. So it's a real dog's breakfast out there right now. And, our prime minister nailed it when he said on Friday, global standards for vaccine certification is a complex issue. It certainly is. There's a lot of competing interests and a lot of competing politics as well. Anna?
Yes, Thomas, but wouldn't it be easier if World Health Organization can just issue a statement and everybody would follow it. It should be that
yeah,
simple.
but then you get into sovereignty issues, and do you
Yes.
want an unelected body telling you what is or is not acceptable in your country? And that's where the political side of things comes in.
Yes, of course. Well, a new poll has been released on vaccine hesitancy in Canada, I heard. How troubling are the findings of the survey, Thomas?
It certainly puts herd immunity a little bit in jeopardy. The poll is finding nearly 1 in 5 Canadians still hesitant about being immunized with the COVID-19 vaccine. The poll says 9% definitely will not get jabbed. They're the anti-vaxxers. They would refuse it under any circumstances. This other 9%, they're reluctant, but they might be persuaded. And this is the group that public health officials are targeting in ad campaigns. And when we look at this group, the makeup of it, we find that women are almost twice as likely as men to say, no, I don't want to be vaccinated. Younger people as well, less likely to accept the vaccine. And that's partially, I think, because younger people think they're invincible. Hey, I'm young, I'm healthy. If I get it, I'm going to recover really quick. But this 9% that are reluctant could be persuaded. It appears many of them have a price. That's right, they have a price. Nearly half of them say $1 million cash prize, even $100 prize, even a paid day off from work. That just might be enough to push them to the front door of a vaccination clinic. So incentives definitely help, but the numbers are still worrisome because, especially with the Delta variant, we want to push that number as high as possible. You know, try and at least get to 85, 90% would just be ideal, but 85% would be great to achieve herd immunity. Hannah?
Yes, we'll take that 85%. And you're right. I mean, I think it's because they're hearing everybody else. Well, not everybody else, but we've heard of other states that have offered incentives. As a matter of fact, here in Las Vegas too, Governor Sisolak announced Friday there will be that, and I will give updates tomorrow, Thomas. For now, thank you for your reporting, and we'll talk again later in our roundtable.
I look forward to it.
Now, here in Las Vegas, Eagle News correspondent Lori Jarvina is with us tonight, and she has some interesting news about celebrity cars being auctioned off. Lori?
Thank you, Anna, and greetings to all our viewers in America and abroad. Summer is in full swing, and we are definitely feeling the heat, along with high energy here in the entertainment capital of the world. However, the blistering 115-degree Fahrenheit temperatures did not deter car enthusiasts from flocking to the Las Vegas Convention Center's new West Hall to enjoy the Barrett-Jackson Las Vegas auction, acclaimed as the world's greatest collector car auction. This event marks the second large gathering at the new Las Vegas Convention Center facility following World of Concrete just over a week ago. Excitement was in the air as the first thing auction goers heard were race cars zipping around a small track, doing 0 to 60 in seconds, and taking impossibly tight turns around corners and doing impressive drifting moves that expert drivers made look easy. Just outdoors from the auction, attendees could take what they called Dodge thrill rides or Chevrolet hot laps with professional drivers in performance vehicles. Let's take a look. It was thrilling just to watch, and of course, upon entering the Las Vegas Convention Center, there was the booming sound of the auctioneer's voice announcing bids with the same velocity and speed to match those race cars. Let's listen.
Pontiac GTO convertible is restored. It's a matching numbers car. It's got a 389 automatic transmission loaded with factory options. Matching numbers GTO convertible.
It's $10 $20. I can pay $10 a bit.
Wow, right? How can you not get filled with excitement and anticipation when you hear that? It was a new experience for myself, but the 50-year-old car auction company has been holding events in Las Vegas for 13 years, the last one in 2019 prior to the pandemic. This year's historic event marked another step towards normalcy and did not disappoint with its array of superstar-powered cars. Some highlights included auctioning cars belonging to the late Siegfried and Roy, the famous magician duo best known for their appearances with White Lions and White Tigers. Their 2011 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Gullwing Coupe sold for $198,000, and their 1994 Rolls-Royce convertible sold for over $117,000. Another famous car auction was a recreation of the Ghostbusters Ectomobile. A 1959 Cadillac Superior Hearse sold for $220,000. The attention to detail on this was impressive. Now, my favorite one was made famous from the popular cartoon Scooby-Doo, none other than the groovy mystery machine van. I may have taken several selfies with that one. But likely, the most talked about car with star power was the bright orange 1994 Toyota Supra, used in 2 films from the Fast and Furious franchise, driven by late actor Paul Walker. It sold for a record price of $550,000. The company expected about 1,500 car bidders and 45,000 total visitors during this 3-day event. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak also made an appearance, showing his enthusiasm for the activity and praising the raiders for their auctioning of a charity car to raise money for an autism foundation. The community of Las Vegas, along with visitors alike, showed up in force, and it was evident that everyone was in high spirits and already looking forward to the next one. Currently, it is sunny with high temperatures in the 3 digits at 111 degrees Fahrenheit or approximately 44 degrees Celsius. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Lori Jarvina, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Lori. I was waiting to see if I was going to see you step out one of those out of those drifting cars.
It was very exciting and thrilling to watch, but no, I didn't step into one of them.
Now, you mentioned your favorite was the Scooby-Doo van, the Mystery Machine. What else did you like about the event?
You know, this was just the first big event that we've gone to, and it was a thrill to be around everyone in high spirits. You know, despite the heat, it was really hot, Anna, but everyone was in a good mood and just positive vibes all around. It was really cool to watch the cars zooming around that track, you know, giving free rides to folks, and just, you know, being around all those cool cars. It definitely was very fun and very exciting. You know, as the mask restrictions, though, have been lifted here in Vegas, it was nice, and I guess, you know, good to see everyone is kind of enjoying their time, and not very masks were being worn, actually, but we still wore ours. Anna?
How do you feel about that? I mean, how do you feel about the mask wearing? I'm curious, Lori.
You know, here in Las Vegas, you know, the restrictions have been lifted. So even just picking up food or even restaurants, you know, they kind of make their own rules. Like we were talking about earlier, not everyone has the same rules when it comes to private companies, the businesses. So I like to see that the workers are still pretty much wearing their mask. But then, you know, normal citizens, they can not wear masks if they don't want to. So I am trusting that they choose not to because they are vaccinated. Anna?
Yes, we can only hope, right? Because it does say if you're if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear it. And we can only hope that those without mask have truly been vaccinated. Thank you, Lori, for your reporting. And we'll talk about, you mentioned the temperature today. Yes, it is a little less in the lower teens now compared to the last few days here, but that will go hand in hand with our roundtable discussion later about summer. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Still to come, updates from Georgia, Washington, D.C., and New York. Eagle News America will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Anna Kui in Las Vegas. COVID-19 vaccine information dissemination continues across the country as top officials led by the president promote getting that jab. In Georgia, Vice President Kamala Harris touts vaccine efficacy as she encourages Americans to get vaccinated. In Atlanta, Bureau Chief Philip Toledo reports.
Thanks. Late last week, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris visited Atlanta to help encourage people to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Speaking to students at the Clark Atlanta University, the vice president was quoted as saying, "Getting vaccinated is about building the power of community. Getting vaccinated is about building the power of our country. And we can do this, Georgia. I know we can do this." Her message focused on the vaccine being safe, effective, and free. Harris's visit coincided with the White House release that 300 million shots have been administered in 150 days, leaving the virus in retreat. However, Georgia is lagging behind the national average in vaccination. Only 37% of Georgians are fully vaccinated, compared to the national average of about 45.4%. The least vaccinated groups have been reported as people of color and white Republican men. While the vice president was joined by Democratic leaders such as Senators Warnock and Ossoff and the Atlanta mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, state Republicans, on the other hand, criticized Harris on social media. Governor Brian Kemp posted on Facebook early that morning saying, quote, "Since Vice President Kamala Harris still has not been to the border, I'd be happy to arrange for her to receive a briefing from the Georgia National Guard leadership on their efforts to secure our nation's border while she visits Georgia today." The governor also posted on the day leading up to the VP's visit of accomplishments of the state in regards to vaccine administration. He cited 4.45 million Georgians having received at least one dose, which, just as a point of reference, the state dashboard data on Saturday showed a number a little bit less than that. 80% of Georgia seniors aged 65 and above have at least one dose. And finally, since the peak in January, cases and hospitalizations are down over 90%. From a case perspective, the state has passed the 900,000 mark of cases since the beginning of the pandemic. New case levels are low, but still present. In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you, Philip. In related news, in the nation's capital, new and very exciting incentives are being offered to those who get their COVID vaccination. To tell us more about it, Eagle News correspondent Rose Papa Angeles files this report.
Thank you. As part of the third Washington, D.C. COVID-19 Community Core Day of Action, Mayor Muriel Bowser announces new incentives for district residents who get vaccinated. Every week for the next 4 weeks, D.C. residents 18 and older and get their first or only dose of the COVID-19 vaccine at the Rice Demonstration Center, Anacostia High School or Ron Brown High School can enter into a drawing to win the following: a 2021 Ford Escape Sport SE Hybrid and a 2021 Jeep Wrangler Sahara Unlimited. One winner will be drawn each week. $10,000 for groceries to cover approximately a year of free groceries. 2 winners will be drawn each week. A year of free Metro bus and train. There will be multiple winners drawn each week. The full drawing rules and drawing schedule will be posted on coronavirus.dc.gov/incentives in the coming days. DC residents who are 12 and older and get their first COVID-19 vaccine dose at these 3 select sites will also receive a $51 Visa gift card. Gift cards will be offered through Saturday, July 17. While anyone can get vaccinated at district vaccination sites, the gift cards are only available to district residents. Residents between the ages of 12 and 17 must be accompanied by a guardian. Residents will receive the gift card after getting their shot. The mayor's office reminds residents that they can find the closest available vaccination location at vaccines.gov or by texting their zip code to GetVax 438829 in English or Vacuna 822862 in Spanish. Again, a COVID-19 vaccine is free. Residents who are unable to leave home to get vaccinated can still call 1-855-363-0333 to make an appointment for a free at-home vaccination. Residents, visitors, and workers are reminded that the safest way to enjoy all DC has to offer is by getting vaccinated. Currently, it is 91 degrees Fahrenheit or 33 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. In Washington, D.C., Rose Papa Angeles, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you, Rose. In New York, the state moves forward by lifting COVID-19 health restrictions upon reaching 70% of its adult residents getting their COVID vaccination. Bureau Chief Joanne Blanco Soriano has more on this story.
COVID-19 restrictions were lifted on Tuesday, June 15th, when 70% of New Yorkers aged 18 and older received the first dose of their vaccination series. State health and industry guidelines are now optional for retail, food services, offices, gyms and fitness centers, amusement and family entertainment, hair salons, barbershops, and personal care services, among other commercial settings.
What does 70% mean? It means that we can now return to life as we know it. The state mandates that have proven right and correct and brought us through this pandemic are relaxed as of today, effective immediately. So all the state mandated restrictions are lifted on commercial, social settings, sports and recreation, construction, manufacturing, retail, buildings, all across the board. We can get back to living and businesses can open because the state mandates are gone. Social gathering restrictions, the capacity restrictions, the health screenings, the cleaning and disinfecting protocols, that is now voluntary and it's up to individuals and places, but the mandates are gone.
Masks are still required for unvaccinated individuals. Furthermore, the state's health guidelines continue to be in effect for large-scale indoor event venues, pre-K to grade 12 schools, public transit, homeless shelters, correctional facilities, nursing homes, and healthcare settings per CDC guidelines. In celebration of this achievement, 13 landmarks across New York State were lit blue and gold. In addition, firework displays were held at 10 sites across the state. Over 60,000 vaccine doses were administered over the last 24 hours, bringing the vaccination rate to 70.9%. Currently, the statewide 7-day average positivity rate is 0.38%, a record low for 23 consecutive days. In New York, Joanne Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Joanne. Up next, weather, travel, and today's roundtable about starting our summer smart. Eagle News America continues.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business.
Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration.
To update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders. To help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation,
social entrepreneurship,
and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Welcome back. I'm Anna Queen in Las Vegas. This is Eagle News America. A tragic weekend in South Alabama. Tropical storm Claudette to blame. A multi-vehicle accident on a slick interstate highway has left 13 people dead, 8 of them children. The accident happened Saturday when a van hydroplaned on the West Road. 8 of the dead are children from a youth home. They ranged in age from 4 to 17. And with more on Tropical Storm Claudette, EBC's Jim Sewell with the details.
Here in Pensacola, Florida, we're feeling the last remnants of Tropical Storm Claudette, which made landfall in the early morning hours along the U.S. Gulf Coast. With only 19 days into the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, the third named storm of the season is bringing heavy rains and flooding to the coastal states, including Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. Here in Pensacola, there are reports of minor flooding, but it seems that we were spared from any major damage. Earlier this morning, the storm pummeled the cities of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Gulfport, Mississippi with 3 to 5 inches of rain and maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour. Flooding in Louisiana began overnight Friday and continues into Saturday with reports of high water across roads and stranded vehicles. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards has issued a state of emergency. The governor warned that after severe flooding last month, river levels are still high and drainage ditches are still full. Louisiana was especially hard hit last hurricane season. Inland across the southeast, the tropical storm is expected to continue to bring heavy rainfall and the possibility of tornadoes throughout the day. In Pensacola, Florida, Jim Sewell, Eagle News. We live at interesting times.
Thank you, Jim, for your report. For EBC Travel, Eagle News correspondent Nanita Manawas lets us tag along her trip to Paris, Texas. Not the Paris you thought. And to show us some city highlights, here's Nanita. Take a look.
Today we're here in Paris, Texas, where the Lone Star State has its own unique replica of the Eiffel Tower, donned with a cowboy hat. The Eiffel Tower replica in Paris, Texas, is one of the city's most popular landmarks. In 1993, Paris, Tennessee, and Paris, Texas built their own replica of the Eiffel Tower. In a competitive spirit, Paris, Texas pushed the height of their Parisian Tower replica to a few extra feet by adding a large red cowboy hat to the tip of the tower in 1998. At 65 feet, it is just less than 1/10 of the original Eiffel Tower. Today, the tower plays a role to the local people in Paris, Texas. With its 27 30-watt color programmable LED lights, it is used by announcements by expectant couple revealing the gender of their babies. Pink for girls or blue for boys. The city of Paris, Texas has other places of attraction such as the Red River Valley Veterans Memorial located next to the Eiffel Tower replica. This memorial honors veterans who have served in the military and also those who are currently serving. The centerpiece is the Ring of Honor, with granite walls etched with names of all soldiers, men and women alike, from Red River, Delta, Fannin, and Lamar in Texas and Choctaw in Oklahoma, who died in the combat zone in service of the country. The conflict wall contains information from the Texas Revolution up to the present war with global war on terror. The empty walls are allocated for depictions of future conflicts. The Red River Valley Veterans Memorial is a reminder that freedom is not free. Located in the historic district of Paris is the Bywaters Park. Here you will see a 1931 Corinthian peristyle and a memorial to victims of the tornado that hit Paris, Texas in 1982. The Sambal Maxi House is a historic house built in the high Victorian Italianate style. It showcases original family furnishings that give insight into the lives of our local prominent family that bore witness to Reconstruction era's challenging legacy. In 1916, the city of Paris, Texas was hit by a devastating fire that resulted to the town needing to be rebuilt. Today, Paris downtown abounds with post-Victorian architecture and a plaza which serves as the community's place to meet, a place where families and friends gather for picnics. The focal point of the plaza is the Culbertson Fountain. According to the city's website, this Italian marble fountain was meant to commemorate the city's rebirth after the fire in 1916. It took 3 years to assemble the fountain.
My name is Claudia Hall, and I'm a new resident in Paris, Texas. I moved here at the end of January 2021 from Kansas City, Missouri. I've lived all over the states, and Paris was exactly what I was looking for. It's a very unique, small town. The people here are so friendly. I mean, I was looking for a place when you walk into a business and they open the door for you, and you know, I'm loving it here. It's very charming, and the people here are also friendly. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. I would advise anyone out there to consider Paris as a place of residency. It's just beautiful. I am so happy. I am so very happy.
In Paris, Texas, I'm Renita Manawis. Eagle News will live in interesting times.
I love our roundtable bumper there. It always makes me want to do a little dance. Well, June 20 is the official start of the summer season. Although here in Las Vegas, it feels like it started about 2 weeks ago. As you heard Lori earlier said, it's about 111 degrees Fahrenheit right now. And for those of you who have been fully vaccinated, I'm sure a lot are looking forward to this summer. So let's ask our Thomas and Lori here tonight. Let's start with, if you had one, what are your summer family tradition? Thomas?
No real tradition. Mine was always work when I was younger, because that was your time off from university. So you got a good summer job. I guess mine personally would be the music of summer. Summertime and the living is easy. Well, that was George Gershwin, but there was a lot of great summer music in the 60s and 70s. Just really upbeat, light stuff. Love to sit in the backyard, read a book, and have that playing in the back. I've got to actually get this flash drive filled up with my summer playlist. I think I'll do that as soon as we get off the show, Anna.
Thanks, Thomas. Although you can't really relate to the summer heat right now, since you're sitting at close to 60 degrees Fahrenheit out there right now.
We're actually about 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius. And the sun is shining here. This is my favorite season. No doubt about it. I love summer. Love summer.
All right. Well, what about you, Lori? Any summer family tradition?
So for family tradition, possibly it's just, wherever we're living at that moment, because we've moved around a lot, being a military family, is to try to go out and see sites that we may not have had a chance to do, during the year. So summertime is always something for the kids, trying to make memories. And so being here in Vegas, hopefully, we're planning to go to San Diego, try to see family there. It's been hard during these times, but I think we're ready, and I think we're excited to do that this summer.
Yes, they say summer you get to take a break and catch up with things that you weren't able to do, but like you mentioned, you and Thomas mentioned, that's more for the younger ones, right? That are going to have a summer break from school. Now, I know last year we all didn't get to do much last summer. Any plans for this summer? Thomas?
I think we're going to do some day trips. We're going to save our vacation, our lengthier vacation for later in the year. This is the time of year I like to stay in Canada because the weather is nice. I prefer to take my vacations in the winter. My wife, of course, lives out in the garden now until the fall. She's into what I call extreme gardening. That's gardening every hour that you possibly can. She's out there right now, I think. And so that's pretty much the summer here. Like I say, I like to sit in the backyard, read a book. What's really great is on a nice summer morning is having breakfast in the backyard on the patio.
That sounds so nice. That's nice, Thomas. I'm wondering, how hot does it get there in your part of Canada?
We will have maybe 2 weeks total of the 30 to 35 degree range, but that's about it where we're at. It's not even worth getting air conditioning in your house. Just a simple desk fan kind of takes care of things, because your air you're only going to use maybe 2 weeks of the year. And what we do in the summertime, if it was really hot, is we just sleep in the basement. It's much cooler down here. We've got rooms down here, so
that's very nice.
A lot of people defeat the heat here.
Well, maybe next year, we'll get to visit Canada in the summer.
You are welcome. Just let me know so I can get that welcome mat dusted off.
And
the border will be reopened.
All right. Yes, definitely by that time, right? What about you, Lori? Any summer plans with the family? You kind of already mentioned San Diego. Any other plans?
So when, Thomas mentioned day trips, it's a little bit more of a drive to get out to San Diego from here. So it's more like a weekend trip, probably. But I would love to visit Canada one of these days. That would be awesome.
Anna, before we go, I want to hear what your plans are for the summer.
Well, I wish I could say that I'm making big plans, but just like you, it's continue with work and saving my time from work for later this year. So I'm staying put for the summer. Probably take a day trip also to San Diego. As a matter of fact, we're planning that in the next couple of weeks here. Now, but here we have a few more seconds to go. Any smart tips for the summer? Thomas?
Stay hydrated and keep cool, especially you folks down there.
Thank you. Yes. Lori?
I would say hydrated and ice cream. Those are my smart tips.
Oh, yeah. Ice cream is health food.
Ice cream. And well, I saw that, during summer when the temperatures are really hot, you can save money by save energy by doing laundry later at night, or saving gas by it's smarter to do to fill up your gas tank later in the afternoon. So those are my summer smart tips. Well, thank you, Thomas and Lori, for sharing all of that with us tonight in our roundtable. And you know which group of people who can really use the summer break? Yes, you guessed it right. It's our frontline workers, first responders, and essential workers. We can't end our program without giving them, again, a much-deserved round of applause. We appreciate you for all that you continue to do for each and every one of us. And happy first day of summer, everyone. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Anna Kui, and we live in interesting times.
Start up your weekday mornings with Edutainment.